Today we're going to be testing these two RV AC upgrades together. Do they work? Do they work well together? We're going to find out because it's experiment time.
Keep it cool. Do what you want to do.
Today we're going to be installing and testing two RV AC upgrades. One of them we've done before and one is brand new. First up is the RV AC silencer. We've seen a lot of good reviews about this online, so we wanted to check it out for ourselves. Per usual, we want actual measurable results, so I do have a decibel meter here, and we're going to be testing those and sharing those results. The next thing we're going to test is the RVAirFlow. And yes, if you think we've already done this, you are absolutely right. We did a video on this a couple of years ago, and the results were fantastic. We got about 40–45% more airflow out of our vents with this device. So I refer you to that video on the install and how it works and all of that stuff. My focus today is to see how well these two products work together. For the record, this video is not sponsored in any way. We did buy all of these products with our own money. Additionally, this is not an install video. There are plenty of videos out there on how to install both of these devices. They're really both very easy. If you can read the directions, if you could put together IKEA furniture, you can do this. Per usual, if there are any discoveries or things that I find out about this product or these products after this video, I'll have that information down in the description below, also in the blog post. That's where we can actually update videos, because of course we can't update the video once it's uploaded. Also, before we get into these products, I want to say that the absolute #1 best thing you can do to improve your RV's AC performance is maintenance. So many people don't know that you really have to do maintenance on these things at least once a year, preferably before the summer camping season. Get up there, take the shroud off, clean those coils, clean up the plenum, make sure it's all efficient and working well as is before you go adding any products. AC maintenance is really super easy. It just takes a little bit of time and some cleaning tools, and it's very inexpensive. We've done a video on this already, so I'll link that down below. Be sure to check that out. Our first install and test is going to be just the RV AC silencer on this main AC here, right above my head in the middle of the RV. I consider this the main AC because it's the most powerful. It's 15 kBTU versus 13.5 in the bedroom and in the garage. Also, this one is a heat pump, so it provides both heating and cooling, and it's the one in the middle, so it kind of reaches the entire RV, and it's the one that gets used the most. That being said, our biggest problem with this particular AC in our 410 is that it's loud. It's not any louder than any other RV AC, but in this layout and configuration, our AC is much closer to our bedroom, being on this side of this living room, whereas in our 397, it was all the way on the other side. The other thing that makes this AC a little bit more noisy is the fact that it's controlled in the LCI 1 control. If you're not familiar, our last RV had individual thermostats for each one. And the way they worked is when they would first kick on, they would put the fan in low, and the fan would only go to high, obviously much more noisy, when it needed to, when the temperature gap got bigger than a couple of degrees, I think. But one of my big beefs with this LCI 1 control is when you have the fan on auto, it never uses low. As soon as it kicks on high. And the only way to overcome that is to put it on low, but then the fan is on constantly 24/7. In auto mode, it's either high or off. So that being said, our first goal, and hence our first test, was to see if we could silence this AC unit right here. The first step was to get some baseline measurements of the noise before we did anything, so we had something to compare against. Bedroom AC just shut off, rear AC is off, all three ACs are off. Okay, so I'm talking and it's going up, but it looks like my baseline is around 30 dB. Now let's kick on the AC and see what it reads. Looks like it's settling around 54, 55-ish dBs, decibels. Obviously when I talk and I have to talk over the AC, I'm getting up into the 60s and 70s. Let's shut it back off, see if we go back to baseline, and we'll install this thing.
Gotta relax, gotta keep it cool. Don't gotta stress over what to do. Take a deep breath, ain't got no rules. Nothing too tight, gotta keep it loose.
So as advertised, the install of that thing was really super simple. all the holes lined up for the most part. You know, there's always a couple that are going on a little bit of an angle, but all 8 of the main screws, the 3/4 inch screws, went in fine, and so did the others. Now, a couple things of note here. The instructions do clearly state not to use an impact gun. I'm just really used to this thing, and I'm used to this kind of slow action because I'm lazy. And but just know that if you're not that comfortable with a gun like that, use a hand screwdriver and screw those in. Another thing that I found interesting, and if I read the directions a little more thoroughly, I probably would have noticed, but these vents that are on the bottom, so these are the vents on the cover and the intake, I thought they would line up like this, but they don't. It's actually flipped. And the way the screws are set up, it forces you to flip it. Otherwise, I probably would have put it on wrong. And I did notice as soon as I flipped it around, the sound decreased quite a bit. So that's obviously part of the magic sauce that makes this thing work, is having the intake kind of offset and having to go up and over. That's all, of course, subjective. It sure sounded a lot quieter, but let's do the dB test again and see what we get. Wow. I mean, just hearing it kick on, it's a huge difference. Here are the test results. My memory's not great, so I'm going to read some of them right here. First of all, both tests of ambient noise were around 30 dB, so our baselines for AC off, of course, are going to be the same when it's not running. Once I kicked on the AC, of course, it was in high. Pre-install measured about 54 decibels, which is about 24 decibels over baseline. Post-install, after putting the AC silencer in, we were looking at about 47 decibels, which is about 17 decibels over ambient, and it's about a 7 decibel improvement or reduction in noise. I gotta tell you, I was pretty amazed at how much less noise there was as soon as I put that bottom cover on. I think it's the way they stagger those two things, the intake, and make it go across two kind of sound buffering things or something. But it worked really well, decreasing by 7 decibels. Now, decibels are weird. It's a logarithmic scale, and quite honestly, I'm no freaking sound scientist or sound engineer. But what I read on the interwebs was that 10 decibels to our ears will sound like double or half volume, depending on if it's an increase or decrease. So a decrease of 7 decibels isn't quite cutting it in half, but to my ear, it sounded like more than half. So again, this is all perception and subjective, but it is a measurable difference, and I could hear a big difference. The original plan for this video was just to test this silencer, but I liked it so much, I knew we wanted one for the other two ACs, and that also gives me the ability now to test both of these things together. If you're not familiar, the RVAirFlow is pre-installed on most Momentums. I'm not sure which ones, and obviously this can change, but right now I know all the TH models do get an RVAirFlow pre-installed in the main AC. So that's why I couldn't really test those before and after. We didn't have a stock AC here in the middle. However, in the garage is a different story. Here I'm going to be able to test all of those things together and see how they complement or hurt each other. Just like before, I need baselines before installing anything. So before we did anything back there, I took both sound level measurements and I also did airflow measurements. For the airflow measurements, I resurrected our old handy dandy anemometer tool right here. And you can see I have taken a funnel, hacked it up, put a little tape on the ends of it so I can get a good seal and get over the entire vent. Now, for these tests in the garage, I used all 4 vents and summed them up. I'm going to be using that throughout our test to see what kind of flow we're getting through all of the vents in the garage/office. Additionally, for these tests, I will have this thing in flow mode, and I used the default CMS, which I believe is cubic meters per second. I'm not sure. But the important thing here is that I use the same measurement system for all the tests because I'm really more concerned about comparing before and after versus the actual measurements themselves. So the first test I wanted to do on this Virgin AC system in the garage, nothing installed, nothing going in there, was the AC silencer. Both of these devices eliminate the dump, the actual part of the AC that you can open up the vents and it dumps straight out. And in both situations, it's kind of an improvement because it eliminates the short circuit that can happen between the high pressure and low pressure or cold and hot sides, where the cold air comes back out and goes straight back in. That's one of the big benefits we found with the RVAirFlow. But I was curious, since the RVAC silencer kind of does the same thing on the bottom, eliminating that dump and making sure that all of the output goes into the plenum and into the ductwork. I was curious if this device would kind of do some of the features of the RVAirFlow and then maybe eliminate the need for that. So the first thing I did was install the silencer by itself, got it all together, and I did both noise and flow tests. Again, like I mentioned before, my goal here is to see if there's overlap. I wanted to see if the RVAC silencer improved airflow, and I also wanted to see if the RVAirFlow improved noise. So I got the RVAirFlow installed with the RVAC silencer, got it all buttoned up into its final configuration, and did a final round of both flow and noise tests. Before I get to all of the results, I have a quick favor to ask you. Could you please click that like button if you got some value out of this, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Those things would really help our channel. Additionally, one of the ways we support this channel and make money to keep the channel running full time is our affiliate relationships. If you do decide you like either or both of these products, please use our links down below. That would really help us out. Additionally, we do have 15% off on the RVAirFlow, so if you use our link and our code, you will get that 15%. Quick disclaimer about these tests. They're my tests. This is in an actual RV. This is not a lab. This is not super scientific. But I did try to eliminate any variability in all of these tests, and I do stand behind my test results. They are what they are. Your results may vary. So first, let's talk about noise and the benefits of the RVAC silencer and if the RVAirFlow had any impact on that. One of the things you'll notice first off, which I found was interesting, we did these first tests up here and these tests back here in different locations. And you'll notice that my baseline ambient noise levels are quite a bit different. I think they were 30 in one area and then in the 40s in the second area. But the increase of noise by turning on the AC is the same. It was about 25 decibels above ambient for all of my tests. So that was interesting that that was consistent, even though the ambient noise was a little bit different. Additionally, the benefit of the RVAC silencer system in noise reduction was about the same both up here and back there, which was right around 7 decibels. So that was all pretty consistent and pretty measurable and very noticeable by my ears. As far as noise reduction, adding the RVAirFlow on top of the AC silencer, there was absolutely no difference in noise. The RVAirFlow does not help or hinder noise situation at all. So there's no crossover in that respect. So let's talk about airflow. There were some interesting results here, and let's get into those. I'm going to be reading a couple of these here. Our baseline airflow before we put anything in the rear AC back there, this is the sum of the measurement of CMS in all 4 vents, was 14.55 CMS. Now, interestingly enough, after I installed the RVAC silencer, flow dropped to 13.55, which is almost a 7% decrease. So apparently the RVAC silencer does restrict that intake just a little bit, enough to give us about a 7% drop, which I found was interesting. After installing the RVAirFlow in with the RVAC silencer, our airflow increased and jumped up to 17.32. So that was an increase over both our baseline. It's 19% higher than our baseline and 28% higher than the decreased flow of 13.55. So clearly the RVAirFlow improved airflow, even though the AC silencer decreased a little bit. It bumped it back up over baseline by 19%. So to summarize here, both products do what they're designed and exclaimed to do. The RVAC silencer definitely decreases noise. It's very noticeable. And the RVAirFlow definitely increases flow. So really it comes down to what products you need and where. Perhaps you might be more interested in silencing the AC in your bedroom and improving the airflow in the living room. Or maybe you want the best of both worlds and you can put both products into one or more or all 3 of your ACs. It just depends on what your priority is, whether you want to reduce noise or increase airflow or both. And that's all we have for this one, guys. I hope you found these results as helpful and interesting as I did. We'll catch you on the next one.
Keep it